for the final day of the Forza Racing Championship Chevrolet Cup. Got a teammate-only battle at the top. It's Sheik Pizza versus Jay Rich. Those two guys have been dominant in the qualifying rounds. Now we're going to find out who's the best in this region. It's going to be a very, very busy day. Lots and lots of crowds in the arena, as you can see, and a lot of expectation on the team to succeed at the very, very top level of this competition.
We're opening the door to a brand new sort of space for Forza Racing Championship. We don't know what we're going to see. We're getting our first glimpse at these powerhouse teams in China.
And a happy Sunday to you. Welcome back to ForzaRC. It's the ChinaJoy Invitational Chevrolet Cup brought to you by our fine folks at General Motors. We'll be bringing you some racing from Shanghai today. We are in Redmond, Washington at the Mixer Studios here on the campus of Microsoft. Scott Cole along with Brian Eckberg. And to tell you what, the racing was pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, we saw racing in China for the first time in the Forza Racing Champ. What a thrill. I mean, it's amazing. We'd seen these guys qualify in the Rivals events in Forza 6. We knew they were fast. These are top 100 times we were seeing on the leaderboards. But as you know, when you get on the track, anything can happen. You've got other cars around you. You've got to make it happen on the racetrack. And what we saw was some good racing. Of course, there were some struggles in the back, as there always is, but we saw some talent rise to the top. I think there's probably between, say, 2 and 4 drivers who could win this entire thing on Sunday.
We started off with 16 drivers yesterday. They are in ChinaJoy. If you guys don't know what ChinaJoy is, think E3 times 10 over there. It's a huge event, so Forza's very fortunate, very excited to be involved in the ChinaJoy Invitational. And I tell you what, we had a little bit of a scoring snafu. We had announced that Hydrogen had made the top 8, which was correct, but Paraxeline's going to be taking his spot. What happened, Brian?
Yeah, it's just as you said. Hydrogen did make it into the finals. Unfortunately, that was not communicated to him in a timely fashion, and he left Shanghai. So it's a really unfortunate event. We want to apologize on behalf of Hydrogen. Feel bad for him. We want to make that up to him in a future ForzaRC event. But what it means for today is that Paraxeline is in and Hydrogen is out.
So we won't see him today, but we will see him down the road, which is good news. So. When we look at the drivers today, you had Jay Rich, who took home Group A. Yep. We thought Viper might have been able to work his way in, but did not have a good race 2 after finishing second in race 1. Did not have a good race 2. So Jay Rich takes Group A. But then in Group B, it was all Sheik Pizza. I mean, there was no doubt about it. He dominated.
He was the class of Group B. He kind of ran away with both races, and we saw some good stuff in the back there, but Sheik Pizza took it. And listen, when we talk about Viper D, this is a guy that competed at Le Mans. We talked about it yesterday. I wonder if he was feeling really confident coming in, saying he kind of had this going away, but Jay Rich showed what he had, which means Viper had to struggle even to get into the finals.
So it's going to be the same that we had in the semifinals. They're going to have 2 races, 2 different cars, 2 different tracks. We'll tell you about that a little bit, but we'll tell you about what is at stake. There's going to be 3 places. We're going to have a first place driver, second place driver, third place driver. Second and third, we'll get some hardware, but first place is what it's all about. You're going to get a nice trophy, but the big prize is you're going to be a wild card at a future ForzaRC event. That's really the big prize.
You think of this as your opportunity to take that first step to the larger stage, right? Of course, China is a huge place, millions of residents. This is a China-only event. This is essentially a regional ForzaRC event. But that winner is going to be able to take the next stage and be competing with the Leges, the Lightnings, the Roadrunners of the world that have won.
Can't forget Roadrunner.
Can't forget Roadrunner.
He won at Le Mans.
That's right.
He's the big cheese right now.
He's the current champ, and the winner here today is going to have a chance to go up against those guys.
Well, we are just moments away from race number 1 getting going. It's going to be the Camaro on Road Atlanta, and it's time for the race to start now. Let's take a look at the final 8 drivers here for the grand finals. Jay Rich, Detuzu, Viper D, Eason Chin, Sheik Pizza, Hawking 13, James C, And then Tama Paraxaline with those all caps, letting us know that he is ready and thankful to be in this one, Brian.
And when you think about Paraxaline, think about his journey here, right? He missed Group A yesterday, only to be an extra car in Group B and made it into the finals. So good luck to him.
Well, let's head to the track here. It's going to be Road Atlanta, which is not too far from where I call my home, and this is one of your favorite tracks.
Love this track. It's got a little bit of everything. Huge elevation changes. It's got some really tricky sections in the front half of the track. You imagine going up to turn 1, you start going uphill, and then downhill into the S's, and it's just you got to keep this car in a good spot here on Road Atlanta.
One of the most popular cars in all of China is the Camaro, and this is the Z28 model. You might remember it from Transformers. This is Bumblebee. We'll see if anybody has a yellow one floating around in this one. What do you think about this car?
5th generation of the classic muscle car introduced in 1966, an A-class car. Its PI is 648, which means it's got a lot of power. And like we were saying, in the S's, there's a very heavy car too. So in those S's, it's going to be very important to keep that car under control. Small movements will allow you to link those turns together.
And here is the grid. Jay Rich out in front. Chic Pizza will be number 2. He's waving his wheels at us. Hello, buddy. How you doing? And Dutuzu will be in 3rd. He's the guy you might want to watch out for. It could be the dark horse. And then Hawking 13 and 4.
Yeah, we got Viper D. This is our man from Le Mans. He's up back there in 5th place, so tough starting position for him. Right behind him is James C999 from the MGC team. His teammate Eason Chen is right behind him, and pulling up in the rear is our man Paraxaline.
So it's the ChinaJoy Invitational. Live from Shanghai. It's the Chevrolet Cup. Brought to you by our good folks at General Motors. And we are all green on Road Atlanta. One of my favorite tracks. And you talked about the undulation of this track and sort of in the foothills of the Georgia mountains. And we already got a little
Is that Hawking?
rubbing.
I wonder if that's Hawking. Yeah, that's Dutuzu. Okay.
Dutuzu
So he lost a couple places, and the 4th place car there,
that was James off
went
on the side. So Hawking moves up into 5th. So we're just getting into this grand final, Brian, and we already got a little bit of carnage.
And you can see those guys working the sticks hard right now. This is the S's section we're talking about. All these corners linked together in a really fun way if you get it right, and a really troubling way if you get it wrong, because all these corners link together. One, if you screw up at the top of the hill, you really have some work to do on the rest of the track.
Yeah, just 12 turns on this track and the 2.5 miles that it is. But you mentioned 2, 3, 4, 5 come all in sustention as you move through the S's. And right now, surprise, surprise, Jay Rich is out on front. Chic Pizza in 2nd. We're riding along with Eason Chen, who had a really good 2nd race of his group as he finished 2nd. So he's a guy you might want to watch out for as well. He started to get really confident.
He needed a really strong finish in race 2 yesterday of Group A, because he finished 5th in race 1, so he really pulled it together in race 2. He needs to show that same kind of resolve here against 2 of the favorites, Jay Rich and Chic Pizza, in those red cars, looking great, fighting each other, but Eason Chen is knocking on the door.
A lot of red out there on the track.
Look at that, they are right behind each other. Chic Pizza's trying to get in that draft. There's gonna be heavy braking down here into turn 1. We'll see if he makes anything happen, but he might just be content with filling up the mirrors of Jay Rich and saying, hey, I'm here, what are you gonna do about it?
One of the most popular cars, we talked about it, 600 dealerships for General Motors throughout China, and this is one of the favorites. If you have one of these in China, sitting in your driveway, you are the envy of the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And you can see what this car is capable of. Look how quickly Chic closes there. I don't know exactly if Jay Rich was a little tentative on that left-hander, but Chic Pizza made up some time there. And here's the thing, this is another sort of almost like a double apex right here. There's a little bit of space between here. This is probably the most important, corner 7, the most important turn on the track, because the exit counts for everything. This long uphill, downhill section, you have to get that exit speed right, because it all counts here. You're going to make or break time as depending on the exit of turn 7.
Yeah, a little baby left-hander when you go through turn 8, and 9 brings you all the way back down the hill. Let's jump back to Viper. We talked about him being a driver to watch going into yesterday's semifinals, and he's fallen back a little bit. Currently in 7th.
Did he pull off there?
Looked like he got a little bit squirrely on the grass there, and so he's all the way back in last place. One of the favorites coming in to this event today, and he finds himself all the way in the back.
There's two shocking things here. There's Viper all the way in the back, and Dutuzu has fallen all the way down to, I think, 6th place. So we were talking about Dutuzu as our privateer, right? We've got MGC and Tama teams heavily represented here in the finals. Dutuzu is not connected to a team, and we thought maybe he has a chance, but boy, he's all the way back there, and Paraxeline is in the middle between those two guys.
Well, you talked about one or two drivers that you really thought were the cream of the crop out there in ChinaJoy, and you're seeing them right now. Jay Rich, Chic Pizza.
Look at this.
They
look at
won
this.
both their
oh,
groups.
Got a little too aggressive there.
That's going to be something for them to look at after the race, because it looked like he got all 4 tires off the track.
Especially if he had made the pass. Now, that was not a successful move, so he actually got punished for that, right? Because he's further back now. He was trying something really aggressive. If he had made that pass, I think that would have been reviewed by the officials. But look at Jay Rich, cool as a cucumber, right? Making things work, and it's all up to Chic Pizza. Chic Pizza's been trying to put some pressure on him, but so far Jay Rich has yet to respond.
He's like the underside of a pillow. We got coming out of
the
pits here. This is Viper D.
Did Viper get some damage perhaps? Maybe that's why we saw him pull off there?
That's the only reason you would go in there. And then maybe he caught the wall. You know, in the inner wall of this road Atlanta, it is a lot of concrete.
Look how he's wide there. I don't know what's going on with Viper D here. He seems like he's going pretty slow down here at the S's. I'm not sure if something's going on with his controller or something like that, but boy, you got to kind of consider that one of our favorites is out at this point because
right
he's
now,
all the way in the back.
Certainly looking like a 2-man race up in front between Jay Rich and Chic Pizza. Hawking is in 5th, and there's Dutuzu working his way around the track, coming right back to that start-finish line as they are moving in to lap number 4. So 3 laps to go. Our privateer is now all the way back in 6th place. And he's got Paraxeline behind him and Hawking in front. And how many battles has Hawking 13 been in this one? This is the guy that's always sort of in the mix. He's kind of a 3-4-5. That's the kind of position he likes to run in.
And remember, Hawking is a member of the MGC team. It's not reflected on his gamer tag, but we learned
Well, the first 5 drivers are on the same team.
That's
so
right.
What does that do to you?
MGC is dominating, and of course the star from Tama, Viper D, is all the way in the back. So this is looking to be like the ForzaRC ChinaJoy Invitational is going to be owned by MGC this time around.
Yeah, they're looking pretty solid. And I think that's one of the reasons we saw some cleaner racing yesterday, is these guys, not only a lot of them on the same team, but you know, think more of a car group with this MGC. But a lot of these guys have just been racing in their clubs. They might be part of different teams, but they represent sort of the same love for the Forza, and I think that's why we saw a lot of clean racing yesterday, is these guys already had a built-in respect for each other coming into the invitation.
You're right. I think they are working as a team a bit here, but remember, only the winner is going on to another ForzaRC event. So it's going to be interesting to see as we get down to brass tacks here how respectful Chic Pizza is going to be of Jay Rich when it comes down to the final lap or into race 2, when things are really going to be counting here. These guys, only one of these guys out of this team is going to be making the sort of getting promoted up to the big ForzaRC events.
You can hear that big LS7 engine in there as we're in the cockpit momentarily with Jay Rich, who goes ahead and kicks a tire off to the side.
Look how far ahead they are of Eason. I mean, we're talking 1,200 feet, which is, you know, that's a massive amount of distance between the 1 and 2 cars and the 3 and 4 cars.
There's no doubt that these two are pushing each other. Jay Rich and Chic Pizza. And we saw Jay Rich have a beautiful move in Group A of the semifinals, passing Viper right at the end. The question now is, the roles are reversed here with 2 laps to go as they work their way through that baby turn number 8 and then back down the hill into turn 9. And really, when you get to this turn 10, you know all about turn 10.
Yeah, that's right.
Be heavy braking.
And really, this is your best chance to pass. I'm surprised Chic is not trying to get closer on the bumper, because that's a great place to pass. Any hard braking zone is typically a pretty good place to pass on the track. And they've only got one more time around. So if I'm Chic Pizza, I'm going to try to tape myself to the back of that car and hope when we get around turn 7 again that I can get a nice draft on that long straight and then make something happen at turn 10.
It's like they're driving through
Well, you can see
junkyard
it
there
here.
with all those tires.
Jay Rich has got the inside line. It's not going to be enough for Chic Pizza to get around, but this is what Chic needs to be doing. He needs to do whatever it takes to stay as close as he can to stay in that draft when you get around turn 7. Now, see, bad mistake there. Maybe hit the brakes just a little too wide, and that opens up Jay Rich a little bit of comfort room as he starts to build a gap again.
Yeah, you need to turn Jay Rich into a defensive driver for Chic Pizza right now. And really, this is the battle between these two guys. We talked about it. Only 2 races in the grand finals. So the difference between 25 points as winning it and 18 is one of the largest margins. If you can win both of them, I mean, that's really what you had to come in here and think is, hey, I need to win both these races.
All right, here we are, turn 7. So let's see how close Chic is to Jay Rich. Boy, Scott, I don't know if that doesn't look close enough to me to make that happen. Unless Jay Rich has just absolutely blows it here at turn 10, it feels like he's going to be able to keep this lead. Jay Rich, Chic Pizza, he can try a desperation late break here, but I think that might cause him more trouble than it's worth.
Well, he's got a good margin between 2nd and 3rd, so if he makes a move, I don't think he has any jeopardy of losing that 2nd place. There's only room to gain right now unless he does something that would warrant him a penalty. Here as they race back to the finish line, and it looks like Jay Rich will take this first race of the grand finals. Chic Pizza will be 2nd. Easton Chen 3rd.
Followed by James in 4th. Of course, these are our unofficial results.
Unofficial results. Well, Jay Rich looked pretty strong there. Chic Pizza racing well, just couldn't get around him.
He couldn't get around him, and I think he was probably at the end like, I've got 2nd place wrapped up. I'm in a good position. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but 18 points is not a bad way to start this series. So that said, they got a lot of work to do in race 2. Both of them do.
Well, you saw some bumping and grinding at the beginning, so remind the folks at home what's the adjudication process all about, because we're going to have some penalties.
That's right. Adjudication is all about reviewing the rules. We have a team that goes to every ForzaRC event and is there to watch the drivers. Look for things like contact. Look for things like we talked about in the race, cutting corners, getting off the track. Those kinds of things are exactly why we have an adjudication team and why our events at the end, we refer to them as unofficial results, because the adjudication team has to go in and review every incident and make sure there is or is not penalties.
Well, let's look at the final results for race number 1 of the grand final. Still another race to come, with Jay Rich being on top, Chic Pizza finishing 2nd, Easton Chen in 3rd, followed by Hawking and Dutuzu, Paraxeline in 6th, and Viper D with that collision. We even saw him pit. He'll finish 7th, and it's James C is the guy we're talking about. He's going to get the old Dairy Queen. He's DQ'd for 3 separate incidents of contact.
Yeah, he hit Dutuzu, he had another incident, and he hit Viper, which we think is the cause of all of Viper's problems. It's a shame for Viper because he's had so much experience. He was an early favorite for us. It kind of got to figure that he's out of the race at this point. But yeah, that's exactly what happens with adjudication is we see these incidents, the team at Shanghai, the adjudication team, makes that call to give him the DQ.
Well, if you think we're excited about Forza 6, you don't even want to know our excitement about Forza 7, which is coming your way. If you somehow just got the internet today and you've never seen the trailer, tell them why this is so exciting.
Well, first, congrats on getting the internet. That's awesome. But yes, Forza Motorsport 7 is coming. It launches on October 3rd. If you got early access, it's September 29th. I think we're going to talk about it more in just a bit, right?
Yeah, take a look at the trailer. We'll tell you a little bit about some of the cool features coming up.
Play it on Xbox One.
All right, my excitement is over 9,000 for
too.
this. I mean, it's only the game's only 2 years old, but it really feels like the graphics and the immersion have come to a whole new level.
Yeah, this is, you know, Forza Motorsport 6 is a great looking game. Forza Motorsport 7, 4K, 60 frames per second on Xbox One X and Windows 10 PC. I mean, you're taking everything to an entirely new level. Of course, it's racing, it's motorsport. We want to have you, the driver, feel like you're in that cockpit and things are shaking and things are moving around and you feel like you're really on the edge. That in-cockpit experience for driving in Forza Motorsport 7 is going to be unlike anything they've seen before.
Well, here's the 3 different versions you can get, all the way from standard up to the ultimate. You talked about the early access you can see there. We talked about that yesterday. Why don't you talk about a little bit about the cars that are coming out? 700, over 700?
Right, we are right in the middle of unveiling all of the cars for Forza Motorsport 7. Incredible lineup of cars, everything from race cars to this week was vintage cars. We've done a bunch of hypercars in week 1. I'll give you a sneak peek. Next week, Japanese cars.
Japanese
cars.
If the RX-7's not in it, I will find you.
All right, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so when we have a whole cadence of cars coming. So over the next few weeks, you guys will learn about all the more than 700 cars coming to Forza Motorsport 7. It really runs the gamut. That's one of the strengths of Forza 7. It's this huge car list where we have representative samples of all different corners of car culture and racing culture and motorsport culture. It's all going to be represented in the game. I can't wait for people to play it.
Yeah, I went over to the Turn 10 Studios yesterday, got up on the sled, the same sled that was at E3, got to play a little bit of the demo, so you guys will not be disappointed. If it's anything like the trailer, which it is, that was so surprising with me. You guys are going to be excited. Make sure you get the Ultimate Edition if you want that early access. Play a few days early. That's going to be the big deal. So we know that's coming out, but we still got some Forza 6 here in the ChinaJoy Invitational, the Chevrolet Cup, brought to you by our good friends at General Motors. And we are moments away from race number 2. And the big thing here is what's at stake. There's only 2 races in the finals. So now that Jay Rich has won that coveted 25 points, Chic Pizza back at 18 points is really got his work cut out. He almost has to finish first or hope for just a terrible performance by Jay Rich, which we have not seen yet in this competition.
That's right. The best outcome for Chic Pizza would be a first place finish and for Jay Rich to finish 3rd or back, because that means he'll end up with more points. We don't know what's going to happen. That's what's so fascinating about this. I'm sure Jay Rich is thinking, hey, listen, I need first place certainly, but if I get 2nd place, I'll still be in good shape.
And just a reminder, the tiebreaker is the fastest combined time if it happens to do that. We have yet to see that at any level, but if it happens today, that's what we'll have it. And we're ready for race number 2, the finals, coming your way right now. Well, it's time to go from Georgia to California. It's Sonoma Racing at its finest.
Used to be known as Sears Point, then it was known as Infinio. Nowadays it's known as Sonoma. One of my favorite tracks in Forza, any Forza game that it's been in. Beautiful setting, of course, but also a little bit of everything. Boy, you got some elevation changes, you got some tricky corners. There's no real place to open up completely here, and there's always corners flying at you left and right. You gotta. This track's all about accuracy.
Well, it's a car that everyone has been waiting for when you talk Chevrolet Cup. It's the Corvette C7R, the old number 3, bright yellow, and it's got a beautiful sound to it coming out of that naturally inspired V8.
R-Class 814 PI car. This is the fastest car we're driving this weekend. This is a car that has won the Triple Crown in real life. It's won the 24 Hours of Daytona, the 12 Hours of Sebring, and of course the 24 Hours of Le Mans. There's some racing pedigree here in this car for sure.
Well, they're going to have their hands full with this one. Only 2,700 pounds with all that horsepower. And these tracks were similar when you go from Road Atlanta to Sonoma, both 12 turns, both 2.5 miles. And there we go. Jay Rich out in front after winning that first race, followed by Chic Pizza. Dutuzu will start in 3rd, and 4th will be Hawking 13.
Yep, we have Viper D, who, boy, finished in 7th place in the last race, followed by James, who's DQ'd in the last race. He's looking to make something up without getting too much in the way. And Eason Chen, followed by Paraxeline in the back. Now, Paraxeline had that 6th place finish here, looking to make something happen at the start of this race.
Well, it's the moment you've been waiting for, the final race of the ChinaJoy Invitational Chevrolet Cup, brought to you by our good folks, and we have a rough start.
Terrible
Jay
start.
Rich.
He is in 4th place at this point, which means Chic Pizza is in 1st. Whew. Ah, man.
Not what you want to see after finishing. We saw the same thing happen to Lage at Le Mans. You get a rough start. You know, these guys don't have a lot of the assist on that you're usually, I don't know if he stalled out there or just maybe a little bit of distraction.
It could have been a stall. It could have been some wheel spin right at the beginning. He couldn't get traction with that car, couldn't get it gripped and started off the line. What it means is he's got Hawking, he's got Dutuzu ahead of him, I believe, and of course Chic Pizza.
You can see the drivers locked in. Chic Pizza out in front, Dutuzu in second. Jay Rich, that's who we're on board with right now after that slow start.
I think we're looking here.
That's Hawking trying to hold off Jay Rich.
Yeah, and Jay Rich needs to make this happen quickly because he does not want Chic Pizza to open up again. There he goes around Dutuzu, but he goes wide there at that corner, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to make that stick. Well, it looks like he did. He's still got Dutuzu ahead of him.
He's moved into third.
Yep. And
so
this
Hawking drops all the way back down to fourth.
Yeah, now this is a really tricky section here where there's backwards and forwards, undulating land here, and you're going left and right. This is a high-speed right-hander down towards the final hairpin, you know, Jay Rich is looking. You know, the hairpin here is a place to make something happen. It looks like. Yeah, he's not going to make anything stick there. It goes a little wide on the exit there, trying to get the most real estate and get the most momentum coming back across the start-finish line.
Yeah, 9 laps as they move into lap number 2. You're talking about that turn 11. That's the hairpin. That's so important to come out. You mentioned in the track preview, there's not a lot of places that you can just put the metal, you know, the pedal to the metal. It's pretty much a tactical race with a lot of undulation, moving up and down.
A little contact there between Dutuzu and Jay Rich. And one of the other things that's peculiar about this track is a lot of these corners going over the hill are blind corners. You don't exactly know, unless you spend a lot of time on Sonoma, you kind of have to trust that you're going to hit that apex.
They got 8 laps to go there. You can see those blind corners. You go up, and the next time when you're coming back down the hill, you're usually making a left-hander or a right-hander. And right now, except for the surprising start, you can see those guys getting off to the side just a little bit. Dutuzu, our privateer, these guys have gone all out with the, I like to see a little bit more paint jobs. And look at that move.
Deep, deep dive, late braking. He's not going to make that stick. He's looking to get that 4th place spot. But unfortunately, he dove too late, braked too late, went too deep into that corner, and they grab it. They grab 5th and 6th place.
That would be the definition of aggressiveness.
That's right.
To just go ahead and keep the gas down, going right through that turn.
But listen, look what we've got here. We've got Chic Pizza, and I'm not sure how quickly how aware Chic Pizza of the standings right now is. But Chic Pizza's in first. Jay Rich is in second. That means that we've got a tie in points if things finish the way they are at 1 and 2.
So Jay Rich, to win this thing as it stands right now, needs to overtake Chic Pizza, get back into first, and we can tell how big that start is. He had a slow start, and he's had to climb his way all the way back into second. You got to tip your cap to at least the push to get back to second, but he's a long way away from Chic Pizza.
197 meters at the just looking at the little the tag there on the screen. That's a big distance. You know, you saw in race 1 these guys were bumper to bumper practically the entire race. Jay Rich has got to be pushing as hard as he possibly can to try to eat into that lead a little bit and make something happen with Chic Pizza.
So Jay Rich winning the first race of the Grand Finals, but here in our final race, race number 2, he's got some work to do. You can see him starting to separate a little bit from Dutuzu, and right along now with Hawking. Hawking's in 4th. He's got James behind him, who turned the first race into his own personal bumper cars.
Yeah, James, you know, good for him. He had a rough race in race 1. He's not giving up here. You like to see that. He's still probably trying to make a name within his own team, within here at the Forza Racing Championship. But yeah, it's also good to see that so far, at least, we haven't had any obvious contact.
Does the rivalry grow after that first race? You talk about him with MGC, and then Paraxeline and Viper with Tama. And Tama's the one that caught the bad luck on that one, as James pretty much wiped him out.
You gotta imagine they'll have some words. You gotta imagine they'll have some words. But Paraxeline and Tama, Viper D, right at the back of this race. Boy, it's just all gone wrong for especially Viper D. The ForzaRC competitor from Le Mans has not had a great Grand Finals, that's for sure.
If you watched the Le Mans coverage we had, think of Dutuzu as a Paul.
That's right.
He's a privateer that's really fast, And this is the way for him to get out there and have some of these teams like a Tama or MGC be able to look at him with 6 laps to go here in the final race.
Yeah, you wonder if he's jockeying for a position with the team, or if he's like perfectly happy being an independent for now, letting the scene grow again and making a choice a little bit later down the road. But yeah, skill, skill is skill, fast is fast, and I'm sure he'll have eyes on him after this.
The interesting thing is it continues to grow rapidly, especially here in China during the ChinaJoy event.
Braxton's a little wide there.
Little wide? He's
very wide. That would be 4 tires off. That is very wide. You're right, Scott. But that's a tricky corner, downhill, sort of left. The camera's not working for the car there. It's easy to go wide there. You would think you can go faster than you actually can on that corner.
And you're trying to push it. I mean, you're trying to move up. You're in 7th place. I mean, what do you got to lose? See if those guys can chain together in that 7th and 8th place. But right now, it's Chic Pizza all out in front. And boy, what a disappointing grand finals thus far for that man right there who made a trip to Le Mans, his man-loved car. And here, as the favorite coming into this ChinaJoy event, the Chevrolet Cup brought to you by General Motors, it's been a disappointment on Road Atlanta, and now here's some more disappointment here on Sonoma.
And look at this. Jay Rich, we're on board with the 2nd place car, and Chic Pizza's nowhere to be found, which tells me that he is opening up that lead. You can see on the mini map there just how far ahead he is. He's going uphill on that left-hander, and Jay Rich is 5 seconds behind him at this point. So, with 4 laps to go, 5 laps to go in this race, Chic Pizza, boy, he's going to have to really push, take some chances here.
That's the disappointing thing. The slow start we had off the bat. I mean, that's the story right now. The story right now is Jay Rich was really fast in race number 1, but had a little struggleville on the start, and now he's had to spend all this time and energy trying to get back into this one. And while Chic Pizza is just out there, he might actually be having a slice of pizza right now.
That's right.
That's how far he is out in front.
He might be, and it just goes to show you that every part of the race matters, right? It's not just the finish that matters, it's that start as well. We're looking at some damage on the car here. I'm not exactly sure who we're looking at right now. This is Hawking.
This is Hawking, who's fallen all the way back to 7th. So
some brake damage, some suspension damage. Not exactly sure who or what he hit, but he is falling.
It looks like it's obviously probably happened on the left side of the vehicle.
Yep.
That's where a majority of the damage is. So he's fallen all the way back to 7th. Braxton's now moved into 6th. So a bit of unlucky racing there for Hawking. With 5 laps to go, they come back to the finish line. So now there is 4 laps to go, and Chic Pizza is out in front. And you mentioned he has to finish first if Jay Rich finishes 2nd, and then it's going to come down to time.
So not only is he racing for this 1st place position, he's racing as fast as he possibly can, because if it comes down
That's a great point.
Yeah, he still has to be putting in as fast a lap he can. He can't relax here.
Yeah. So although he's out in front, we talked about maybe he's having a slice of pizza, but when you bring up the combined times and then being separated by just 1/10 of a second on that first one, he's got to stretch it out as far as he can, because it could be the difference between taking home the trophy or finishing 2nd.
And look at this, the fastest lap time for Jay Rich is a 1:33.209. I would really hope we could see the fastest lap time for Chic Pizza, because that could give us some insight as to how quickly these guys are going on the track. But a 1:33.209 for Jay Rich right now, a very quick lap.
The only thing I do know is that time didn't happen on lap number 1.
No.
Which it normally never does.
It never does, but it certainly didn't happen.
It certainly didn't happen for him, and we talked about it. We talked about Lage having problems. I mean, you can be one of the best drivers in the world, and how important that start is. And that's why sometimes, when you see it happening in the real deal, it's a rolling start.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And here we see Hawking coming out of the pit. He had to get in there. His brakes, his left suspension,
not
was
even
completely
enjoyable
destroyed.
at that point.
No,
I mean,
it's an undrivable car. So
and he's going to have a chance to
I don't know
maybe play with Viper here.
What? He came out of the pits and now he's in 7th place. I'm not exactly sure what's happening with Viper here. Maybe Viper is just sort of given up on hope here, and he's just sort of cruising.
It was a disappointing, he had a little bit of a tangle with James in that first race, and that really just kind of put him out of the championship picture. And for a lot of these drivers, especially Viper D, he came in thinking, I'm going to win this thing. I'm going to win this ChinaJoy Invitational.
Yeah, and I'm sure all these guys, of course, felt that way. What's really interesting, we just saw on the graphic there, Eason Chen, great start, made up 3 places from the start. So he's really pushed hard, and this is a guy we've been talking about this entire weekend, has made some great races. Maybe not started always in the best place.
He's kind of reminded me of a road runner, a guy that's very consistent. He's going to wait around if things go his way, you know, if someone gets off on the side or has some trouble, he's right there ready to move up a spot. He moved up 3, Hawking has dropped back 3, so he's in 7th. That's the big change right now. So Easton Chen running along in 4th, Viper D all the way in the back. And we talked about it. It's just the struggle.
And you see Viper's got the speed. His quickest time is 0.3 off of our leader, right? At 1:33.235 versus Jay Rich's 1:33.209. So he's got the speed.
Yeah. We know that Jay Rich, we know that Chic Pizza, and we know that Viper D is fast. But when you have some of these, you know, tactical things happen to you, then what can you do?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's racing. You know, things happen in a race. That's why we get them on the track and put them together. We're looking at Jay Rich here, a new fast time, 1:32.9.
So he's increasing.
Yep, he's definitely pushing. And you can see Chic Pizza up ahead. He's got him. He's sort of trying to reel him in. He's got 2 laps left. I'm not sure it's going to be enough space because, you know, Chic is pushing right now. But boy, Jay Rich is really driving, you know, with a head full of steam.
One of the best sounding cars in the game. And owned a couple of these Corvettes myself. Never at this level, I can promise you that. I was more dealing with the LS1, LS3. And, but the sound, the note that comes out of the exhaust, and we've heard it firsthand on many tracks, and we heard it at Le Mans. So 2 laps ago, and there's the familiar paint scheme of the number 3, and it is the leader out there. Chic Pizza is still got a good little lead over Jay Rich.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to time. I'm telling you right now, I don't think Jay Rich can catch him in these final laps. It's going to come down to combined time to see who we're going to have as our champion.
It's a similar position to the previous race. If he wants to catch him, he's got to get on his bumper, make something happen. There's really only a couple of great passing spots here at Sonoma. It's at the hairpin, turn 11, and at the end of the straight, so-called straight, at turn 7. So he's got to be filling up that mirror for Chic Pizza and try to outbrake him, maybe push him a little bit to the side, and try to dive in there and make something happen. But I don't know if he's got enough room or enough time.
One more lap to go from Shanghai. Can Chic Pizza hold off Jay Rich? He started in the number 2 on the grid, but he's found himself at the pole position, working his way around and riding on board with James C., who his car's in a lot better shape than it was in race number 1. And you think he's going to come out and just say, hey, I'm going to run a clean race to finish this thing off, so you at least have something to feel good about.
Yeah, and 3rd place going to Dutuzu right now, who finished in 5th in race 1. So a good, 4th in race 1. So good.
He's been really
finish.
consistent.
Yeah.
He's been really consistent as well. Easton Chen, Dutuzu, I've actually put on a pretty good show down here in ChinaJoy.
Look, I think he's getting a little excited there. Putting some smoke in the back of those tires. Might be showing off a little bit, or he might be pushing and seeing that, hey, listen, Jay Rich is reeling me in.
And Jay Rich has caught up. I
Yep.
mean, he has closed the gap. It just was a huge slow start that saw him go from 1st all the way down to 4th and have to climb his way back in. And that is your leader right there.
Coming down to the final hairpin, unless something disastrous happens, this is going to be your 1-2 finish.
And it's going to come down to time. So your guess is as good as ours at this point. And Chic Pizza will take the checkered here on Sonoma. Jay Rich will finish 2nd. And so they both split the first 2 races. And now it's who's going to climb up and maybe finish in that 3rd spot. 3rd is still up to grab on our leaderboard.
I don't know if you noticed, but between 2nd and 3rd place was almost half a mile. So it's Jay Rich, Chic Pizza, and really everybody else.
Yep. Well, race number 2 in the books, and we had a flip-flop of Chic Pizza unofficially being up on top in front of Jay Rich. Gonna have to get in the nerd cave and do all the calculations on that. What did you see out on the track?
I saw a great start from Chic Pizza, and then he made it stick, right? That's exactly what he wanted to happen. We were talking about it before the race number 2 of like, here's what Chic Pizza needs to do. Now, it didn't end exactly. I think he would have rather obviously have had Jay Rich in 3rd place or back, but he did all he had to do. He had to win that race, and he did.
A lot more clean racing than we saw in race number 1, though.
Yeah, which is great. That's I was actually expecting more at Sonoma. There's lots of places where Sonoma can trip you up, can make contact, things can happen. Now, we did see at least someone, I think it was, who was it that had the damage on his car?
It was Hawking. Damage on the left side.
We don't exactly know if that was against another car, or if that was against a barrier or something like that. Sonoma can trip you up, so I was actually expecting more. It's great to see clean racing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got some cool things. We talked about it yesterday as we calculate who has won this thing. We get ready for the award presentation down there at ChinaJoy. We had a cool thing with Final Fantasy and Forza Horizon 3 where you can get the regalia in-game.
Yeah, now that's not something you often say. Those two often don't go together, Final Fantasy 15 and Forza Horizon 3, but here we are. And, you know, in Final Fantasy 15, if you've played that game, you know the regalia is one of the stars. Well, along with Prompto and Noctis and all those guys. They're driving, they're rolling in the regalia in Final Fantasy 15, and you can now drive that in Forza Horizon 3. Tell you a little bit about how to get that maybe after we take a look at it, right?
Yeah, let's take a look at the regalia right now. All right, I'm over 9,000 again. That's super cool. It was cool yesterday. It's still cool today, and I can imagine just rolling down Surfer's Paradise, all leaned back in the regalia.
The regalia is a luxury cruiser, right? Yep. It's a big car. It's actually going to be one of the biggest cars in Forza Horizon 3. Got a lot of power in it though, so you can get on that highway and put it to work. But everybody can get this car. It's really simple. If you've played Forza Horizon 3 on Xbox or Windows 10, or if you've played Final Fantasy 15, we're going to send you this car. So if you've played Forza Horizon 3, you'll get the car sent to you automatically. Just look in your message system. It'll be waiting for you starting on August 1st. If you've played Final Fantasy 15, you'll be getting an Xbox Live message with a 5x5 code to download the car. And then you can go get Forza Horizon 3 and play it for yourself. Drive it in a different way in Horizon 3.
Now, the crazy thing is you don't have much time. It's Sunday, and this thing ends tomorrow?
That's right. You have to have played one or both of those games by tomorrow, August 1st, in order to get in the wire and get that regalia sent to you. So, you know, as soon as this is done, get yourself to the store, to the digital store, get yourself Forza Horizon 3 or Final Fantasy 15.
Very cool stuff with that, and especially with Forza 7. Just around the corner. We've had some great racing here at ChinaJoy, and now it's time for the final results of race number 2. And we talked about that clean racing. Chic Pizza will finish first in race number 2. J. Rich is second, so it will come down to the timing between them. Dutuzu, our privateer, is in third. Easton Chin in fourth. James racing a little bit cleaner, without a doubt, here in race number 2. He's fifth. Viper down in sixth. It was really a disappointment for Viper D. Hawking, talked about that damage, somehow worked his way into seventh, and Paraxeline all the way down at the bottom.
Yeah, great news is we had a clean race here. I doubt Viper D and Hawking and Paraxeline are feeling really good about the results, especially Hawking. He must have had some sort of off and hit a barrier or something there. So too bad for him, but it's great to see a completely clean race, no penalties this time around. So the results that we saw at the end were the actual results.
Yeah, the adjudication is easy when the racing is clean. And so let's find out who won this thing. We had a tie, 50 points each for Chic Pizza and for J. Rich. Let's go down to the floor of ChinaJoy in Shanghai to find out the winner. There is your third place guy, Easton Chin. You talked about just how consistently he was.
He had a lot of adversity and he came through with aplomb. I mean, good racing from him. Great job on third place.
There is our second place winner, J. Rich, just coming up a second and a half short. And that means your winner is Chic Pizza will take the ChinaJoy Invitational, the Chevrolet Cup, and there's Chris Bishop, the Forza marketing manager, passing out the 3rd place and the 2nd place winners. And that means your 1st place guy, there's Jin.
There's Jen.
Jin Yi, your ForzaRC program manager, will pass out the biggest trophy of the whole thing. And we're going to see this guy in the future, Brian. He's going to be a wild card.
Get used to that name. You're going to be seeing more of him. He's going to be competing with the likes of Lightning and Lage and Roadrunner and all those guys. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see how he does on that world stage.
He was really consistent, and he was really, really fast out there. And you can see how big an event that was down in Shanghai. Well, back here in Redmond, Washington on the campus of Microsoft, we're here in the Mixer studio. Scott Cole, Brian Eckberg back with you. You saw down in Shanghai, Chic Pizza really taking the whole thing.
I love seeing those guys on the stage. You know, you could tell they were looking out at the crowd, had a big crowd watching them. Chris was there, Jen was there, handing them those trophies, and really, you know, I love seeing the ForzaRC expanding like this.
Well, let's take a look at those final results. You know the winner is Chic Pizza. And I said a 2.5. It was actually 1.4 seconds was the difference between Chic Pizza and Jay Rich, who finished with 43 points apiece. Eason Chen is your 3rd place winner. Dutuzu just 2 points short. They're in 4th place. Hawking 13, Viper D, Paraxeline, and then James C had that DQ in race number 1, and that's why he's going to finish all the way at the bottom. But we saw some pretty good racing.
We saw some great racing, and think about that 1.4 seconds. That's the difference between a good start and a bad start, and that's exactly what we saw in race number 2 there. So like we were talking about during the race, every part of the race matters, and we have a champion because of that start.
Hey, Lage will tell you that false start he had in Le Mans was big, and it proved to be kind of detrimental for Jay Rich. He fought all the way back in, but couldn't get close enough to make it. So those guys tied at 43, but Chic Pizza, your winner, was just a little bit faster on race number 2. Let's go down to Ali. Ali Tak is down in Shanghai for his final thoughts, and he's standing by with the winner.
So here we are with the 2 of the winners from the Forza Racing Championship Chevrolet Cup. We've got Chen Chen here and Mai Che. Both of these guys did an incredible job for their team. That's MGC. I mean, it's incredible to see the way that these drivers have come along with their club and done a great job here in Shanghai. So congratulations to both of you. So there we go, winners here in Shanghai. We're going to see how they do later on in the Forza Racing Championship with Mai Che's gamer tag is Chic Pizza joining us in the next round. It's all to play for, and we'll see you soon at the Forza Racing Championship.
All right, always good to hear from Ali. Can't wait to see him down in the future events. What's some final thoughts? I mean, the coolest thing about this whole thing is Forza Racing Championship in China. We had North America, had Europe, and now Asia. The scope is starting to get really, really exciting.
It's growing, it's getting bigger, and of course we're going to start meeting these worlds very soon, right? We're going to see the best of China and how they stack up to the best in the world that we've already seen, the names we're all familiar with. Now we're starting to connect those 2 worlds, and I think the future is very bright for the racing worldwide for the Forza Racing Championship.
I couldn't agree anymore. And you know, we saw some drama, you know, like we see at all these, you know, ForzaRC events. But the difference was with Chic Pizza was not only fast, but consistent. And that was the formula that had Roadrunner being your overall champ of Season 3.
Yeah, I doubt Roadrunner set a fastest lap at any point, you know, and he would probably be the first to admit that there are faster guys. And as we were looking at the lap times in race 2, not sure Chic Pizza was exactly the fastest guy on that track. Great start, consistent effort, ends up with a 1st place finish.
Well, we want to thank all the folks over at ChinaJoy in Shanghai. Definitely Chevrolet for stepping up, and the great folks at General Motors for making all this happen. And that's it for us here in Redmond, Washington, here at the Mixer Studios. They want to thank the whole crew, everybody who put this all together. We can't wait to see you at that next event. For Brian, I'm Scott Cole. We'll see you next time on the Forza Racing Championship.